Have you ever noticed how a slow month in business leads you down to a downward spiral? You stop thinking clearly, your mind goes in a billion directions, everything feels catastrophic, and you start getting anxious. You even start doubting yourself, and you feel that might be emotional weakness. But it isn't. It is the normal, natural reaction of your brain when it perceives a threat. And it affects every entrepreneur under the sun, from six-figure solopreneurs to nine-figure CEOs managing hundreds of employees. I know because I've coached them. And if you clicked on this video, it is affecting you too. This video will show you why this happens, and more importantly, how to rewire it out of your mind so you never go through it again. See, 10,000 years ago, if the tribe rejected you, you died. If you failed to provide, you died. If your status dropped, your survival odds crashed. So your brain evolved a hypersensitive threat detector. Any signal of social or material loss triggers the same neural pathways as physical danger. So you sabotage every time you have to monitor monthly recurring revenue, client satisfaction scores, LinkedIn engagement, competitor progress, and they're not where you expect them to be. And it flags all of them as survival threats. And when this alarm fires, the fear center of the brain, the amygdala, hijacks the thinking center of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, and kills your ability to think clearly. This is called prefrontal inhibition. And it is why you can't think straight when things go wrong. The pattern I see in every founder who struggle with this is that when revenue is up, they feel invincible. They think things are just going to work out fine. They feel on top of the world. But then revenue goes flat and they start questioning everything. And then when it actually drops, they spiral. And the problem is not revenue volatility, is that they fuse their identity with their outcomes. They feel like if they are their own business. So every time business is succeeding, they feel worthy. But if business fail, they feel worthless. And if metrics drop, they feel inadequate. This creates a cognitive trap because they can't control the outcomes. Naturally, customers churn, campaigns flop, and the only thing you can control are systems and inputs. So if you tie your self-worth to results you can't control, your subconscious flags every setback as an identity threat. And that loop is self-reinforcing until you burn out. I once worked with a founder at 30 million annual recurring revenue who will spiral whenever cash flow tighten. And the cycle will be on week one, cash will get tight. On week two, he'll start losing sleep and catastrophizing about why things were not going the way he wanted them to go. On week three, the team will start feeling the anxiety, the execution will drop. Week four, numbers will get worse, and that will create a negative spiraling feedback loops. A new contract will solve this for a few weeks or months, and then he'll be back in the same position. We needed to rewire that loop to make sure that he didn't spiral out of control when liquidity dropped. We literally changed the meaning of cash being tight from that means you're failing to that means your cash system is not working the way it should. His execution literally skyrocketed when he stopped treating business problems as identity threats and began treating them as what they are, design problem. And the root cause of this is that the brain treats financial threat as physical danger. So a slow month or bad business outcomes feels like death. That is evolutionary miscalibration. Once identity fuses with outcomes, the subconscious becomes the enemy and it starts generating worst-case scenarios, catastrophic fantasies, survival-driven rumination, and comparison loops. And that is subconscious noise, not actual valid data. How do we break out of this? Well, by breaking the automatic thought emotion patterns, by rewiring them. So the foundational step is to remove the association my self-worth equals my results and move it to my self-worth is my ability to execute the right actions within my systems to get what I want without thinking that outcomes are guaranteed. In psychology, this is called self-efficacy. And this is a deep unlock. Because the moment your self-worth stops being tied to outcomes, you start building proof of capabilities the right way, based on what you actually know how to do, not what you fantasize about deserving. That is the elite founder identity. Because think about it, your business is just an external system that you design. A system with constraints, with throughput, with bottlenecks, and it operates within an environment that you don't fully control. Because algorithms change. Competitors emerge, market shift. You cannot control those outcomes, but you can purposefully become the master system designer. And once you internalize this, business problems stop feeling like identity threats. A revenue dip becomes, where is the constraint in my system? Not, I'm a failure in business. This is how we anchor yourself in capabilities. So here's a 4-step protocol to rewire this pattern. The first step, obviously, is to name your trigger, is to identify the specific moment that your brain flags the threat. Is it seeing some KPIs drop? Is it having some end-of-month financial reviews that are just not the way they should? Is it having too many client complaints? Is seeing a competitor win? Is being fear of being exposed for whatever reason, right? Whatever triggers you, you must write it down, because identifying is the first step towards rewiring. And also, the moment you name it, you start disarming it. Then step 2 is to create the psychological break. Once the trigger fires, the body enters threat mode before your conscious mind breaks up. So you have to break the emotional loop. And the fastest way to do this is through breath work. You can do 3 box breath, 4 seconds in, 4 second hold, 4 second out, 4 second hold, to activate the vagus nerve. And that creates a physiological reset, like a break on your threat response. And you train your amygdala to say that there's no physical danger associated with the trigger, and allows your thinking side of the brain to come back offline. Step 3, reframe the trigger. This is when you consciously shift the interpretation. So for instance, imagine you revenue drop by 12% month on month. Instead of thinking, I'm failing, everything is broken, we're going down, you create a new thought association. Revenue dropped 12%, there's a constraint in my system, where is it? Let's find it and solve it. And this is critical for memory consolidation, because the brain expects threat equals identity collapse. But you say, no, this is data that equals an optimization opportunity. And that change is what updates your subconscious model. And if you do this 10 to 15 times on the same trigger, it becomes just a pattern that you can intentionally rewire. And finally, step 4, focus on the only thing that matters, which is the bottleneck. The next step is to literally solve the system failure that created that trigger. It's not trying to do everything. It's just finding the things that matters most. That is a supreme skill, working on the bottleneck. Solving the bottleneck proves capability to your subconscious, which reinforces the new positive identity. That is what creates real change. Not fighting thoughts, not thinking positively, not trying to manifest whatever. No, by literally rewiring your subconscious response. If every time you're tempted to think you're a failure, you can catch that thought and reframe it as an opportunity to find the problem in your business that is creating that thought and that trigger in the first place, you will be miles ahead of those who are caught in emotional loops that they cannot control. That is how you succeed. The evolutionary alarm that once screamed danger then becomes a signal that there's a system that you can improve. And this will literally make you successful, because 99% of people think anxiety and self-doubt are just personality traits that they have to manage forever just because they're in business. And they're not. There literally is errors in your threat detection system running on a software that was programmed for survival 100,000 years ago. And the solution is not willpower or positive thinking or manifestation. No, it's brain rewiring, is substituting the automatic thought patterns that are not helpful with those that are actually helpful in taking to the next level. So that client complaints becomes feedback, competition becomes market validation, revenue dips become opportunities for your system's improvement. So over time, you can think clearly and you can execute consistently instead of anxiously overthinking every move. That's the difference between founders who scale and founders who burn out. And that is what my system was built for. If you want a full system to rewire your brain for consistent, focused, elite performance, book your call below, and we'll make sure that within 6 weeks, you are a highly upgraded business operator. See you in the next video.